The night my husband introduced his business partner at our anniversary dinner, I almost laughed because the woman sitting next to him, holding his hand under the table, was the same woman who had just signed paperwork to take my house. They thought I didn't know. They thought I would just cry, sign the divorce papers, and disappear. But what they didn't realize was that the company paying my husband's salary, the one funding his expensive lifestyle, the one he was so proud to work for, was secretly owned by me. And the moment I exposed the truth, his mistress lost the house. He lost his job. And both of them learned exactly what karma feels like. Part 1. Approximately 3,000 characters. When I married Ethan, everyone said I was lucky. He was charming, confident, and ambitious. Or the kind of man who could walk into a room and instantly make people trust him. For the first 3 years of our marriage, everything seemed perfect. We bought a beautiful house together. Ethan got a management job at a growing real estate company, and I worked quietly behind the scenes running my own investment firm. Most people didn't know about my business. I preferred it that way. Even Ethan believed I only handled small investments from home. I never corrected him. More looking back now, that silence saved me. Because about a year ago, Ethan started changing. At first it was subtle. More late meetings, more business trips, more time glued to his phone. Whenever I asked about it, he had the same smooth answer. Big promotion coming. I just need to work harder for a few months. I believed him. Until one afternoon when I received an email that made my stomach drop. It was a notification from the property registry. Apparently, someone had submitted paperwork regarding our house. At first, I thought it was a mistake, but when I opened the attached document, my hands started shaking. The file showed a pending ownership transfer, and the new co-owner listed on the document wasn't me. It was a woman named Rachel Harper. I had never heard that name before. But something about the situation felt very wrong. So instead of confronting Ethan immediately, I decided to do something smarter. As I started watching, checking, listening, within 2 weeks, the truth became impossible to ignore. Rachel wasn't just some random name. She worked at Ethan's company. And according to several photos I found online, they weren't just co-workers. They were clearly together. Vacations, dinners, smiling selfies. The worst part, some of the pictures were taken in my house. The house I paid for. The house Ethan was secretly trying to give away. Oh, when Ethan came home that night, he kissed my cheek like nothing was wrong. "Long day," he said casually. I smiled back. Because by that point, I had already decided something important. I wasn't going to scream, I wasn't going to beg, and I definitely wasn't going to let them win. Instead, I started preparing the one thing Ethan never expected. A revenge plan that would destroy his affair, his career, and the life he thought he was stealing from me. And the best part? He was about to walk straight into it, all by himself. A week later, Ethan told me something that almost made me laugh. "I think we should sell the house," he said casually while eating dinner. He didn't even look nervous. According to him, the market was perfect and we could make a good profit. But I already knew the truth. The paperwork I saw earlier wasn't for selling the house. It was for transferring ownership to Rachel. I kept my voice calm. "That sounds like a big decision," I said. "Maybe we should celebrate our anniversary first." Ethan smiled, relieved that I hadn't questioned him. That was exactly what I wanted, because I already had a plan. Our anniversary dinner was held at a nice restaurant with some of Ethan's co-workers, including Rachel. That was the first time I saw her in person. She was sitting right next to Ethan, laughing at every word he said. When Ethan introduced us, Rachel acted surprised. "Oh, wow. It's so nice to finally meet you," she said sweetly. "Finally, meet me, the woman living in the house she was trying to steal." I smiled politely and shook her hand. Then I waited. Dinner went on for almost an hour before Ethan finally stood up with a glass of wine. "I actually have an announcement," he said proudly. Rachel looked excited. A few of his co-workers leaned forward. And then Ethan said something that made the entire table go quiet. "My wife and I are separating," he said calmly. But the good news is, I'm starting a new chapter. He reached over and took Rachel's hand. We're moving into a new house together next month. Several people clapped awkwardly. Rachel looked like she had just won the lottery. Then Ethan turned toward me, clearly expecting me to cry or storm out. Instead, I slowly stood up and pulled a thin folder from my purse. Before you celebrate too much, I said calmly, there's something you should probably know. Everyone at the table went silent. I slid the first document across the table. It was a property report. Rachel frowned as she read it. What is this? She asked. It's the purchase record for our house, I said. Then I placed another document beside it. And that's the mortgage agreement. Ethan looked confused. But when he saw the name listed under property owner, his face turned pale. Because the house was never in Ethan's name. It was purchased entirely through my investment firm, which meant legally, he had no ownership rights to transfer. Rachel's smile vanished instantly. But Ethan told me. I know what he told you, I said calmly. Then I placed the final document on the table, a termination notice, from the real estate company Ethan worked for. Rachel looked at the company logo, then back at me in shock, because that company was one of the largest investments in my firm's portfolio, which meant I was the majority shareholder. And after reviewing Ethan's attempt to commit property fraud using company connections, the board had voted that morning. Ethan was fired, effective immediately. The silence at the table was unbearable. Rachel slowly pulled her hand away from his. You lied to me, she whispered. So Ethan looked completely lost now. But the house, still mine, I finished calmly. And since you filed false documents to transfer it, my lawyer will be contacting you tomorrow. For the first time since I met him, Ethan had nothing to say. No charm, no excuses, just panic. I picked up my purse and stood up. Then I looked at both of them one last time. You wanted my house, I said. You wanted my life. I gave them a small smile. Now you can both start over without either of them. And this time, I walked away with everything.